Vinyl frontier back to mono? Not a chance. Remember those chunky stereos your parents had? The ones with dials that went up to 11? They're back? Well, not back, they never really left. Vintage stereos are cool again, warm, rich sound, and they look ace in your living room. But like a classic car, they need a little TLC now and then. Don't worry, it's not rocket surgery. With a few tools and a bit of know-how, you can bring that old hi-fi back to life. Think of it as open heart surgery, but for your music. This guide will walk you through the basics of vintage stereo repair. We'll cover everything from identifying common problems to replacing dodgy capacitors, those little electronic fellas that love to cause trouble. So grab your soldering iron and let's get this show on the road. Tool time, no flux capacitor needed, but before we dive in, let's gather our weapons of sonic restoration. Don't worry, you won't need a particle accelerator. The essentials are pretty basic. Screwdrivers, Phillips and flathead, various sizes to handle those stubborn screws. A multimeter, the Sherlock Holmes of electronics. It measures voltage, resistance, and tells you if something's gone completely kaput. A soldering iron and solder for replacing components. Practice your soldering skills, you'll thank me later. Contact cleaner, like a spa day for your stereo's connections. Blows away dust and grime. Deoxit or similar contact cleaner, specifically for potentiometers and switches. Compressed air for blasting away dust bunnies. Wear safety glasses. A few other handy items include needle nose pliers, wire cutters, and a magnifying glass for those teeny tiny components. And don't forget a good work light. You don't want to be soldering in the dark. Stereo symptoms, crackles, pops, and other audio ailments. So, your stereo is acting up. Let's play doctor. Common symptoms include humming or buzzing, usually a grounding issue. Check your connections, or you might have a dodgy ground wire. Crackling or popping, often dirty potentiometers, those knobs you use for volume and tone. Time for some contact cleaner. One channel out could be a blown fuse, a bad connection, or a faulty amplifier channel. Time to break out the multimeter. Distorted sound, check your speakers first. If they're fine, it could be a problem with the amplifier. These are just a few examples. Diagnosing the problem is half the battle. The other half, fixing it, of course. Section 4, cleaning house dust bunnies. Beware. Before you start swapping out parts like a mad scientist, a good cleaning can work wonders. Dust and grime are the enemies of good sound. Exterior, a damp cloth will do the trick. Avoid harsh chemicals. You don't want to damage the finish. Interior. This is where the compressed air comes in. Blast away dust from the circuit boards, but be gentle. Controls. Use contact cleaner on potentiometers, switches, and input jacks. Work the controls back and forth to distribute the cleaner. Think of it as spring cleaning for your stereo. You'll be amazed at the difference a little TLC can make. Section 5. Swap shop. New life for tired components. Sometimes cleaning isn't enough. Components wear out over time, especially capacitors. The good news is that they're relatively easy to replace. Identify the culprit. Use your multimeter to test capacitors for correct capacitance and to check for shorts. Find a replacement. Online electronic stores are your friend. Make sure you get the right type and value. Soldering time. Heat up your soldering iron and carefully remove the old capacitor. Solder in the new one, making sure the polarity is correct. Replacing components can seem daunting at first, but it's a satisfying skill to learn. Just take your time and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Plenty of online forums and resources are dedicated to vintage stereo repair. Section 6, troubleshooting triumphs. You got this! Troubleshooting is a bit like detective work. You have to follow the clues and eliminate possibilities until you find the culprit. Start with the obvious. Is the stereo plugged in? Yes, it happens to the best of us. Are the speakers connected properly? Check the easy stuff first. Fuses, connections, and obvious signs of damage. You might get lucky. Divide and conquer. If one channel is out, swap the speaker cables. Did the problem move to the other channel? That narrows things down. Don't be afraid to experiment, within reason, of course. The more you tinker, the more comfortable you'll become. And the satisfaction of bringing an old stereo back to life, priceless. Plus, you'll have bragging rights for days. Just try not to gloat too much.